Welcome to Magnet Culture's Workforce Webinar, Prioritizing 2022 Workforce Retention Initiatives, Assessing, then Prioritizing to Keep People Longer. My name is Jess Ray. I am a workforce strategist on Cara Silletto's team at Magnet Culture. Every day, I work with clients to help prioritize and find solutions to reduce turnover. If your priority number one for 2022 is workforce retention, you are in the right place. So today, you'll walk away with a score for different areas of your organization that will help you determine what needs the most attention. Cara will also share the top 5 quick wins and long-term initiatives that most companies need to tackle first. But be sure to stay for the entire session because we have a special offer for you at the end. Cara, let's dive in.
Hey, hello, friends. Hello. So who's overwhelmed? Me and everybody else on the call. So what we have figured out recently is that people are so overwhelmed, overburdened, overloaded, and over everything that we're now finding it hard to even take baby steps. What can I even do? You know, we're just trying to keep our head above water, and we love you for that you are resilient, you are sticking it out, you are doing the best you can every day. And yet we know that the workforce crisis is causing us to rethink how we staff and manage and all of that fun stuff. So what we've done just over the past several months is try to figure out, okay, how can we help companies prioritize when, let me guess, you've got a million things on your plate, right? We know that we need to fix our onboarding. We know that we need to reinstate management training that got cut because no one had time to sit in classes, or we cut it from the budget a long time ago, those kind of things. We know that we have to reevaluate compensation again, even though we just did a comp eval in the fall and gave everybody a bump, and now things are crazy again and the companies down the street are paying more. So we have to look at all of that. We know that we have to rebuild some trust that's lost. We kept saying things like, I promise if you just fill tonight's shift, I won't call you this weekend. And we lied because unknowingly, right? It was not on purpose, but we didn't realize that we were going to have to call them this weekend no matter what. Okay. So that eroded trust from our team and just the whole world, right? And nobody knows, like, what do I do? What do I not do? Who do I trust? Who do I not trust? All these things. So we know that's also a major issue. There's a lot of things going on. So what we've decided to do is to help you all figure out what to prioritize. How in the world do we do this? And so we've put together a tool. We're going to walk you through these foundational questions today. And we're still kind of fleshing out this tool. We've tweaked it over the last few months as I've been working with leadership teams and running these questions past their team and getting feedback and figuring out, what works and what doesn't and all that. So we're excited to have a new audit tool coming out this spring that we will have. But right now, I wanted to help you with something. Even if I don't have the full tool ready to go, we wanted to give you kind of the mini foundational questions that we're basing a lot of the audit around, because it's January. Hello, goal setting, prioritizing what you've got on your plate, quarterly goals and quarterly focus areas and things like that. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is helping you prioritize by asking you these questions to help you figure out kind of where are you going to get the most bang for your buck on your efforts. And as Jeff said, we're going to talk about some quick wins, little baby steps we can take even when we're overwhelmed and busy. And then we'll, of course, plant the seed for some future longer term initiatives that you need to work on, but today ain't the day. Okay. So we've got to move and find those gaps, but also just take whatever steps we can take to move forward. So I look forward to your feedback for sure. we really want to make sure that we get this right as we're building it. So please let us know if you think more questions or deeper questions or different questions should be included in this stuff moving forward. So first things first, we need to really assess and look at where are the biggest gaps. We're going to identify stronger, weaker areas and figure out how to make those changes. So what I want you to do now is go grab a pen and paper. All right. Grab a pen and paper, or if you're digital, that's fine. Just pull up a little spreadsheet. You're going to have to score yourself on the next 10 questions that I mentioned to you. Okay. So you're going to score yourself on the next 10 questions. You need a pen and paper or a spreadsheet, something, tablet, anything, and get that ready because we're going to move forward on this. Okay. So you ready to go? Ready to go? Ready to go? Okay. So here it is. We're going to move pretty quickly here, but the team is going to put the questions in the chat as well. So if I happen to move too quickly and onto the next page, you can look in the chat, which is down at the bottom of your screen. You can look at that chat and grab that last question. Okay. So, and I really don't want you to overthink these questions either, my friends. Don't sit and think about, well, there's this example, but then there's that example. Like, just go with your gut right now. I know a lot of you do employee surveys and you have some of this data, but we're also not taking the time to sit and assess all of that, right? We're not taking the time to dive into those metrics in a lot of cases. So what we decided to do, and I'm going to tell you up front, the answer to these questions is subjective. It is your opinion about how you think the staff feel. But I decided instead of us, the managers, running around like crazy right now, instead of us answering the questions for ourselves and how we feel, I want you to stop for a minute. I want you to flip yourself around, put yourself in the staff shoes, okay? Put yourself in the staff shoes and just guess at how you think your staff would answer the following statements, right? We're going to do agree or disagree, 1 to 5. So a 1 is disagree. Not happening. I wish I could vote 0, kind of thing. Versus a 5 is we're good. Totally agree. It's solid. Okay. There's your range, but keep in mind, you're answering for how your staff feel about these things. So I'm going to go pretty quickly, like I said. So hopefully you've got your pen and paper ready to go. All right, here we go. Statement number 1, our staff feel their managers are effectively communicating. Don't overanalyze, just go with your gut. Okay. Our staff feel their managers are effectively communicating. And remember, this is right now. This is not all the time. This is in the moment. We're dealing with the present situation that we have at hand. Okay. All right. Question 2 is our staff feel our onboarding is effective. Okay. Grab your pen and paper, answer 1 to 5 here. Second one, our staff feel our onboarding is effective, whether they're a new hire that just came through it, or they are staff out on the floor handling the new hires coming in through that onboarding. Do your staff think the onboarding is currently effective? Our staff trust one another. This is question 3, okay? Do your staff trust one another? Do you feel that is the case? Okay. Number 4, put yourself in their shoes. Our staff feel their workloads are manageable right now, okay? Not in general. At this moment, if I asked your staff, our staff feel their workloads are manageable. 1 to 5, okay? 5th question, our staff feel our managers listen to their team members. This is more specific than just communicating effectively, which is usually communicating out to the team. This question is, do the staff feel that the managers listen to them? Yay or nay? Okay. All right, again, these questions are in the chat if you missed any of those first 5. All right, I'm moving on. Number 6, our staff feel they are given flexibility with their schedules right now. Are they given flexibility? Would they agree with that? Would they disagree? Or are they somewhere in between? Okay. Our staff feel they are given flexibility with their schedules. Okay, number 7, here we go. Our staff feel their compensation is appropriate for their current role and responsibilities. All the responsibilities that they have right now, do they feel that their compensation is appropriate for that level of role and responsibility on their plate? Okay. Number 7 here. Good job. Keep going. Get your pen and paper out. Answer these questions. Okay. All right. Number 8. Our staff feel advancement opportunities within the organization are accessible within a reasonable amount of time. Okay. Do they believe that advancement opportunities are accessible to them? Does your staff feel this way, that it's accessible within a reasonable amount of time? Okay. Number 9, our staff feel their managers are adequately trained for their current leadership roles. Would you say that most of your staff feel like their bosses, their leaders are receiving adequate training to do their job well right now? Okay. Are they equipped? Are they adequately trained for their current leadership roles? Not how the managers feel. Remember, this is how your staff feel about their managers. All righty, last one, number 10. Okay. Our staff feel the organization's technology, both hardware and software, is sufficient for their needs. Okay. Is the technology sufficient for their needs? Would your staff say that things are sufficient, up to date, adequate? All right. Okay, so I'm going to have Maggie copy all those questions one more time, just in case folks came in midway through this audit. What we're doing right now is a mini audit of these 10 questions about retention and how your staff feel. So she's going to put those back in the chat one more time in case you missed any of those if you just popped on. All right. So here's my question to you now. Add up your score. Okay. It's 10 questions, a total of 50 points, And I would love for you to now, I'm going to give you a second to do the math there, right? We should have a bunch of different questions or a bunch of different scores there from 1 to 5 on those 10 questions. Add up your total. Okay, I want you to pop that in the chat. And by the way, there's no right or wrong, and you're not going to get chastised or anything, okay? So I just want you to also feel that everyone around you is in this similar boat, okay? So whether you feel like your score is low or high or whatnot, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, they're just flowing in here. We've got everything from 23, 35, 24, 18, 30, 19, 24, 27. Oh my goodness. Okay, thank you all so much. Yeah, go ahead and if you haven't yet, just pop your score in there. I will tell you, man, this is right on target because what I've been seeing is as I'm out working with leadership teams and I'm running these audits, right? I'm running these questions by all the different managers from different departments. And it has been almost always between 22 and 35. Sometimes we'll have outliers like we've got some 18, 19s in here. And sometimes we'll have somebody that's like a 38 or, something like that. But you guys are right on target with what I'm seeing in similar roles to yours. Okay. So that's what's happening. I hope my whole point in asking you to do this from your staff perspective, my whole point is we're busy. We're running around like crazy and we are doing the absolute best we can as leaders to stay afloat, to keep everything moving, to not get too far behind. We're going like crazy, but we have to stop sometimes and think about their perspective. How do they see what's going on, right? Even though it's like, well, I did the best onboarding I could. Oh, how about this? How about this? So you really, really have to think about putting yourself in your staff's shoes for a moment, because that's when, as we look at each one of these scores, that's when we can actually pinpoint some areas that we could make a little tiny difference in our communication, in our, just our approach with our people on a daily basis, that could make a huge difference to them. Here we're thinking onboarding, schmonboarding. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? So it's not going to happen, but yet it really makes a difference to them. So even just slight improvements to the onboarding process or communication and things like that can make a really big difference in their experience, particularly the new hires, not just the folks who've worked with us. Okay. So absolutely. All right. Oh yeah. We've got one says has a 40. That's fantastic. Okay. Okay. So what I want you to do right now is we're going to throw up a poll here, and I'd like for you to mark the 2 lowest scoring categories. Okay. So if you could just go ahead and mark, I believe you can check box more than one of these items. So just go ahead and mark the 2 items that you feel like were the lowest. And maybe you had 3 or 4 scores with a low score. Just pick the ones that you really think are the lowest score on your deck. Okay. I'm going to give you all just a minute, because that'll take a moment to look back at your answer to those 10 questions and figure out where are the lowest scores on that sheet for you. Okay. All right. Interesting. Wahaha. All right, come on in. We got a few more people we're waiting on answering that. They're still coming in. Give me just a moment. Okay. Oh, we've got one taking the lead. They were neck and neck there for a minute, but now it's there's one that's really standing out. I'm curious if y'all are gonna guess it or not. All right. Okay, we're closing it down. We're gonna end the poll now. There we go. Okay, so now you all should see, I just hit share results here. You should see that, yes, workloads. Ben totally called it in the chat. Workloads. But as you can see here, we had, lots of people, not just 1 or 2, that answered every one of those other categories. And it was interesting to watch your results because they just kept bouncing back and forth. Okay. So what's incredible to me is that while some companies are doing really good on the communication and trust, for example, but they're really struggling on the compensation and, workloads and things like that, versus another company may be the exact opposite. The communication is just failing miserably right now, while we're giving people flexibility and we're paying the best we can, but we're not communicating well, so this tells me that each one of you actually had some different areas that you can work on moving forward. Okay. So fascinating. All right. So, okay. I think I closed that down properly. There we go. I never know when you're in admin view, right? What they can see and what they can't. So, all right. What I am seeing right now is, if you're scoring mostly 4s and 5s, okay, so we didn't have a whole lot of that where people were up above 40 on this call, which is understandable with the crisis that we have going on right now. But any of the areas, really, even of the 10 questions, any of the areas that you gave it a 4 or 5, fabulous, move on. Just go on to the next area, because there's other things that need your attention. Now, do you need to keep doing what you're doing? Absolutely. But just make sure that we don't, dwell too much on trying to improve a 4 to a 5, because if staff is okay with that, they're okay with that. Move on. Anything that is lower than a 4, right? A 1, 2, or 3, it's really up to you to figure out where are you going to get the most bang for your buck on implementing a change. Okay. Maybe it's just a teeny tiny baby step adjustment, or maybe, you know, oh no, we have to overhaul this sucker, right? With management or trust building or whatever that is. Okay. So you want to figure out some quick wins that you can do pretty soon, like even within the next week, within the next month. And then we have to plot out a little bit farther out later in the year. My team, we've already met and we've talked about what's our Q1 goal, what's our Q2 focus and goal, what's our Q3, you know, because we know we can't do it all at the same time and we can't get everything done in January. So we want to be realistic about that, those conversations. Okay. So look for those quick goals. Make sure when you're prioritizing, you can't multitask. If you say, okay, you're going to work on this and you're going to work on this and I'm going to work on this and we're all going to get it done. If we put too many things on at the same time, all it does is push everything's finish line out. So I have learned from project management classes in the past that it's much better to work on one initiative at a time. Now, is it reality that we can say, I'm not doing anything else except this one thing? Heck no. But if you, what I say is I have a priority project at any given time, and any free time I have, any strategic time that I get sitting at my desk, I know to go straight to that. Instead of going, oh my gosh, well, I could be working on this, I could be working on that. Which one should I work on, right? If I have my priority list, when I have that available time and I even block it out on my schedule, that's exactly what I go to. That's where I head, instead of contemplating which one, right? That just wastes time. So we do the goal setting and the prioritizing ahead of time to know that month or that quarter what I should be working on. And if you are able to look out and set some goals for down the road, be realistic, okay? If you think something really will take you just 2 weeks or 4 weeks to do, great. But if you're saying, you know, realistically, I'll be lucky to get that done in 6 or 8 weeks. That should be the goal. You don't want to frustrate yourself even more than we're frustrated right now. Okay. No sense in beating your head against a wall. So just want to be realistic about that and then set your priority list in that way. Okie dokie. All righty. So now what we're going to talk about is some quick wins and how to take action, my friends. So I picked out some of the ones from the questions, these 10 audit questions. I picked out the ones that I've seen with the lowest scores, or not just lowest scores, but just the greatest room for improvement, particularly on the quick wins side, since we need to take some baby steps right now and just do a little bit better each day with our communication and things like that. Okay. So for each one of these, I don't want to upset you, but I'm going to give you a quick win and I'm going to give you a longer term initiative. I'm just planting the seed. I'm not telling you that you're not doing good enough. You're doing amazing. All right. But I do want to plant the seed because depending on your scores, you may want to set one of these as a longer 6-month or 12-month goal for yourself, your team, your company. Okay. All right. So first things first, management communication. A quick win on this sucker is to check on your people. Okay. Check on them. Are they doing okay? Are they doing okay? We've hit yet another wall of burnout and frustration as we've dealt with the roller coaster these last 2 years. And so a quick win right now, check in with your seasoned folks, right? Your dependable, long lasting, your trees, as we call them, that are deep rooted in the company. Check on them because they may be burning out. Their kids' school might be shut back down, like my kids' school just got shut back down. Okay. They may be really stressing again and have hit a wall and need some support, need some encouragement. And then with the newer hires, check on them, not 30, 60, 90 days, but 30, 60, 90 hours in the job. Okay. So check on your people, genuine check-ins too, not drive-bys, but just a real genuine thing. Okay. And then for longer term initiative, absolutely have to reinstate or launch management training, and make sure that your managers are getting the tools they need to be successful in their roles. Okay. So have to look at that down the road. Maybe even if you're getting your next fiscal year budget together, make sure to plant that seed in that space. Okay. All right. Next up is we've just got, we just picked a few of these, for example. One of these is onboarding. We have to make sure that the onboarding is not cut back to nothing but check the box compliance. Okay. It cannot just be compliance based. We used to do a conversation about who we are and our core values and the culture and unwritten expectations. And here's who's who at the company. And we used to do that stuff. And we got so busy that we cut it back. So a quick win is just reinstate some of that. Okay. You don't have to reinstate the whole thing, but just pick a couple pieces about your core values, who you are, your mission, those kind of things that will help the new hires have a better, more positive experience, which is going to keep them longer. All right. So quick win, reinstate that. A longer term initiative is going to be checklists. It's absolutely going to be clear, defined, role specific onboarding checklists. That is critical down the road. Okay. Doesn't have to be done now, but putting that on your list to make that a better experience for folks. All right. Next is workloads. Has been totally called it in the chat there. Workloads. We were already tight and lean, trying to do more with less before the pandemic hit and before the workforce crisis hit. Okay. So at this point, the quick win, because everyone is overloaded, appreciation. Thanking people for showing up, mega thanking people for pulling a double or taking overtime, extra shifts, anything like that, and just supporting them. Similar to the check-in, genuine check-ins for people, we want them to know that we are here for them and we understand we're asking so much of them, but we also appreciate so much of what they are doing. And just, it's beyond your comprehension of how folks have done this for so long, and that you're beyond thrilled that they continue to come back every day and find this energy to do that. Okay. So be genuine about it, dig deep, find some appreciation, and show more support. I know you're doing that. It's just a reminder to kind of maybe turn up the dial a little bit in case you haven't thanked and showed specific support and appreciation to your folks even this week. Okay. The longer term initiative on workloads is job pruning. So similar to a rose bush, we have to prune back at some point so that the rose bush can bloom bigger and brighter in the future. So I'm working with a lot of leadership teams right now on how do we job prune and take some things off of people's plates, because we know we've gotten that kind of out of whack almost permanently now. And we need to reassess workloads, job loads. How much can a new hire do, for example, in a realistic frame of mind? Not we just push them onto the floor and they just have to do what they have to do because we're short staffed. But once we get our head back above water and get staffing stability again, then what are the realistic expectations for a new hire who is still learning, right? They're in the learning curve. They can't just jump right in at full productivity as we're kind of forcing them to do right now. Okay. So just something to think about, but again, longer term initiative. And then on the compensation side, of course, most of you have probably done some bumps and whatnot. And I'm aware that some of this is in your control and some of this might not be. There's probably some executives on the call right now that do have compensation control and decision-making power, and some of you do not. And so I understand that. But another quick win right now is just a small bump across the board. We know the cost, the consumer price index just keeps climbing. And last I checked, we were over 6% as far as how much the cost of basic stuff, right? Groceries, utilities, gas, that stuff is going up. So if we haven't given our folks at least a 6% raise in the last 12 months, they're actually making less than they used to make. After one of the hardest years of their career, they can't even buy the same bread, milk, and eggs that they used to. So for decision makers, we really have to have that sincere conversation about just significant bumps of across the board, not even merit-based, but just across the board cost of living increases. Okay. So quick win there, but a longer term initiative is definitely analyzing deeper analysis of competition and role specific type of ranges, pay ranges, sorry, it's hard to say. So yeah, thinking really about where do we need to be in relation to the competition, and also how hard is the job compared to other jobs in our community or in our town, even of can somebody go work over here and it's an easier job that pays more? Well, we're going to have a harder time recruiting over here then. So we're going to have to reevaluate some roles within our company. And what do those pay wages look like? Okay. So really doing that. And then also educating your staff on total comp. Hey, you not only get paid this per hour or this in your salary, but we cover this insurance, this retirement, this paid time off, and really educating people about all of that. Okay. So then we've got the last one here with just some quick wins, and another longer term initiative is advancement opportunities. Your staff, I know it's crazy, even though they're busy and, stressed, they still want mentoring. They still want growth and advancement opportunities in most cases. And so a quick win on this one is simply micro mentoring. Think about almost every interaction you have with your folks, because we don't have time to sit down for an hour-long mentoring session right now. And instead, we want to trickle in the micro mentoring into the one-on-one that you already have just in the hallway where you're chit-chatting, or the staff huddles that you have for each shift. Do just 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes of micro mentoring, training, setting expectations, any of that kind of stuff can be a quick win. And that is immediately actionable, that you can start trickling that into your day and your interactions. Okay. The longer term initiative, of course, is professional development and career pathing, right? And figuring out, where people want to go with their career. Do they want more education? Do they want to stay in their role but grow? Do they want to switch roles in the company? Figuring that out, really getting to know our people. And that can help keep them longer, believe it or not, if you support their goals. Even if they're going to bounce out of the company someday, they'll stay with you longer if you support their efforts and their development in some way. All right. So there we go. I hope that somewhere along the way, we've got days and days worth of we have days and days worth of strategy discussions and retention conversations and whatnot to have. But I specifically wanted to cover these 10 questions of the audit so you can see where you might be able to get the most bang for your buck on some quick wins and some efforts that you can take. And then also to give you some longer term initiatives to think about and start planting those seeds with your executive team. Okay. So if we do nothing, just think about it. Here's an example. If you just do 5 to 10 minutes of micro mentoring and micro training for your team, think about in 6 months, 12 months, your team members will have actually received hours worth of mentoring and training. But if you do nothing, if we just keep running around and just fighting the fires and doing that and not checking in with our people, and not sprinkling in some training and mentoring and not checking on some of this stuff, then I fear in a month, 3 months, 6 months, we might still be underwater. So baby steps. Right? Just baby steps, my friends. That's where we need to go with this. So I hope these questions were super helpful for you. And I'm going to pass things back over to Jess to wrap up. So.
Awesome job. Love that. And just to remind everyone, as Cara said, prioritizing those lowest scores first is a great place to say, where do I start? Where do I start? That's a great place to start and talk with your team. We're really excited about the momentum that we had in 2021. We were able to help so many of our clients, leaders, supervisors, managers, executives navigate today's incredibly challenging workforce, and how to manage the situation. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the different retention initiatives, I would love to have the opportunity to discuss your top issues on a no strings attached call, help maybe you figure out some additional initiatives that would fit maybe your industry specifically. One thing to remember, there is no magic wand, but each training will move the needle. Real change really comes from consistent effort and focus on retention. I'd love to chat and see how we can support you. So you can use the link in the chat to schedule a call with me, or email me, jess@magnetculture.com. Those 10 questions that Cara was going through, we highly recommend that you use those with your management team. And they can be found on our magnetvault.com website. We've also added a few more really fun items too. We have a new professionalism video that's available in the vault, a great 2-minute little training video for your leadership, and as well as your frontline, and some additional resources. So for this webinar today, we would love to offer the attendees pricing for 2021 through the end of January. So what does that mean? That means for our micro learning video series, for our management training workshops, our online workforce retention bootcamp, any assessments or leadership skill building programs, we will honor our 2021 pricing through the end of January. We wanted to give that gift over to you guys, as we have a lot of clients right now, and just organizations in general who we know are trying to juggle a lot of balls. So perhaps extending that on will help ensure that your leaders have the proper training to be successful this year.
Awesome. So thanks, Jess. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We'll stick around for a few minutes, but as we know, the price of everything is going up, right? So we wanted to help you lock in our 2021 training and program pricing and whatnot. So just give us a holler if you want to work together this year, or if you just want to have a chat about your scores from the audit, and get some advice there too. We don't charge by the hour for any of that fun stuff. Just reach out and give us a holler. So hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. And thanks to those of you who have to go. Thanks so much. And we'll stick around for some questions. So looks like, is the microlearning series topic list on the website? Yes. In fact, I think yeah, Jess just put the professionalism video series there. We have several video series, like micro learning video series packages right now. We have a retention package. It's like 17 little videos from our teachings. We have a professionalism series. There's 24 or so videos that are a little 2-minute, how to be more professional type of videos. Those are great for micro mentoring too, that the manager can just show them on their phone at the beginning of a staff meeting, and they can talk about it for just 5 minutes and then move on, right? So yeah, those lists are on there. We also, I think we have a generational class. If you want just a small series of that, we have those videos. What the pandemic did is gifted us video, right? It gifted us virtual, and it gifted us the opportunity to build this studio and to make those kind of recordings that you can have then 24/7 anytime. All right. So absolutely.
We did have a question come in as well, Cara.
Oh yeah, sorry.
How were the audit questions determined? They'd love to know more about that.
Yeah. So honestly, it was just from what we were seeing out in the market. We were just hearing from talking to managers. Now, I was on the road in 2021. You know, we kind of went from famine to feast as far as traveling. I wasn't traveling traveling for about 18 months during the pandemic. And then in June, things opened up and I was on the road, I think 22 or 23 weeks in a row this fall. And it just came from talking to all the managers and some of the staff as I was able to tour different buildings and whatnot, and asking them, if you had a magic wand, what would you change? What's the most frustrating thing you're seeing right now? It was a lot of the same things that came up over and over and over. And if you followed our work for several years, you will know that before the pandemic, and even really just before the last 6 months, we didn't talk a whole lot about compensation. It's mostly about the culture and the management, leadership styles, and things like that help to keep people longer. But because of the massive change in wages over this last 6 to 9 months, we've even started getting into those conversations about the competitive landscape of wages and the comp analysis and what does total comp mean to your employees and things like that. So we plugged in a few new things that you probably haven't seen on any of our past tools or webinars or conversations. And that's the technology piece. How do we reduce our reliance on manpower, for example, because sometimes we just can't even fill positions. So how do we get the right technology and innovation in here? And then of course the compensation questions. And a lot of the other ones came from years worth of discussions with managers around our Magnet, MAGNET framework that comes out of the book Staying Power, right? So if you don't already have a copy of the book Staying Power, you can grab that online, Amazon, Audible, Kindle, and get a copy of that, because it also has strategies that are specifically tied to these questions, just not all 10 of them, right? Because we're evolving these conversations. So I hope that answered your question. And like I said, we keep tweaking them and getting the wording just right to make sure that this tool we're building this spring is going to be spot on for what you guys need to help you prioritize. All right. Anything else, Jess?
Those are the questions we have so far, Cara.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to call it a day, and you guys can always email us. Jess is jess@magnetculture.com. I'm Cara, C-A-R-A, @magnet.com, and we will catch y'all later. Have a great day. Keep doing what you're doing. We love you. Bye.